So hello, welcome to our first Q&A Friday. This is a new series we're launching to talk through some of the challenges that manufacturers face in undertaking their digital transformation efforts. My name is Jessica Vodden, and I'm a team member here at Mountain Point. I'm joined by Andrew Rieser, our president and co-founder, and Billy Weisgerber, our senior solutions architect. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, so today we're going to tackle a really practical problem that many manufacturers face when it comes to configuring Salesforce CPQ. But let's start at the beginning. And Billy, can you tell us a little bit about what is CPQ and how can it help manufacturing companies?
Yeah, so CPQ stands for Configured Price Quote. And so the benefit for manufacturers is that a lot of times they may have a custom product, meaning that they're going to be building it from scratch. And so they need to go through and put the different components or accessories together. And a lot of times there are certain rules that sales reps may not know. And so the benefit with CPQ is that you can put those rules in place and avoid a misconfiguration or something that was promised to a customer that's actually not possible. And so then when it goes to production for that product to be built, there's less risk of, again, that misconfiguration.
Great. And this is sort of an add-on product to the Salesforce platform, right?
Correct.
And it integrates with a lot of the ERP solutions that are also built on Salesforce?
Yeah. So Rootstock actually has a functionality to integrate with their ERP platform. And then you can also use it to communicate with other ERPs, either via integration or some other aspect. And then they also use some of the standard functionalities within Salesforce so that it's not all brand new functionality. They use their products and price books and reference certain things that are already existent in the Sales Cloud.
Okay, very cool. So sounds like a great product, and we know it's a great solution. We do a lot of CPQ implementations. But out of the box, as with any software product, there might be some discrepancies between some of the assumptions made in the software and the actual day-to-day processes of the manufacturers, right? So we want to talk about one specific problem that we've noticed that comes up a lot with our clients today. So Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about, from what I understand, the problem stems from the issue that a lot of manufacturers sell things in units that are not sort of a standard numerical measure, like one widget, two widgets, etc.
Yeah. So I think the way that I would describe it is end customers or end consumers think about their use of the product as it relates to the application that they're trying to solve. So when we think about a textile business that has bolts of fabric that come in, the end consumer doesn't care about the dimensions of that particular bolt. They care about the custom quilt or comforter that they want made and personalized to them. And so configure price quote allows us to extend that typical standard product with add-ons and also think about it in a way from an application standpoint, keeping the end customer or consumer in mind. So things like length times width or price per square foot are pretty common. And I think that's something that we can dive into and show how that works.
Great. So Billy, I think you've built out a pretty solid solution to this problem of needing to adjust units and volume. So can you share your screen with us and kind of walk us through what you've built?
Absolutely. All right. So for this customer, they actually are similar to textile where they sell aluminum composite siding and boarding for different buildings. And so with them, they have standard products, but they also allow customers to call in and order a custom length or custom cut of that product as well. And so what we put in place, we'll go ahead and create a quick opportunity, is we actually put a custom product in so they could build and configure based off of the square footage, colors, thickness, and all these different things in order to better quote their customers, because it's either like I said, a custom cut or even a custom color. So, for example, if you ever drive by a Ford dealership or a new RVs that just got a facelift, you'll see that they have specific brand colors that they use. And so that's using that custom color aspect for this custom company. So I'm going to go ahead and choose their custom product and click select. And so right when they select this custom product, you can see that there's some required fields that they need to fill out, and then there's some that are not. And so what we did was we put in their rules or their criteria that would calculate the per square foot value based off of what they select in this configuration. Some other things to keep in mind is that based off of maybe something they select here, we'll also control maybe a stock color option. So if I change this to polyester, I have less options here because of that paint type. So that's also using dependent pick lists that are in Salesforce as well. And the quantity here is actually going to be the square footage. So normally their reps aren't told how many sheets at this cut width and length. It's more of a general estimate of how much square footage they need up front so they can generate that quote. If they do know the actual square footage, they can put, or the dimensions, they can put the width and the length down here along with the number of sheets.
Great. So basically the system is acting as a translator for the sales reps, right? Like
Correct.
it's speaking the language of the customer and then doing that configuration or that calculation on the back end for them.
Right. And so another thing is like we have a price rule here that says based off of this quantity and what you select in terms of the configuration for the product, there may be a setup fee that's going to be added on as well with this custom product. So when I click save, it's going to save it to those lines. Sorry. It's going to save it to those lines, and you'll see custom Luca bond, the quantity, which is the square footage, and then the price per square foot, which will then give me my price per sheet or overall amount. And then we also have our setup fee that's per square foot in order to get the final amount of $1,500. Another thing that we put in is so that reps don't have to necessarily click this wrench to go and reconfigure. We added these attributes to the line drawer so that they can go in here. You see that this list price right now is $395. If I change this to plus, it's going to change it to $481. That way they're not having to take the extra click to necessarily go in, reconfigure, save, and see the price. This way it's all real time for them, being able to see those calculations without even having to take a few extra steps to then see the rules get applied on the line editor.
Which I'm sure is really handy if you're on the phone with a customer and they're saying, okay, how would the price be affected if I switch it to this versus that? So not having to wait for all of that to load and then recalculate is probably really a nice convenience for them.
Absolutely. And I mean, even with being on a phone or, using a mobile device, that helps too, because then you're not, you want to try and make that as easy as possible and smooth as possible, especially if they're at a job site or interacting with the customer in person. They can do that on their phone too.
Awesome. So in a lot of ways, this really takes a lot of the research requirements and the sort of back-end work that the sales reps have to do off of their plates, right? It automates it. And so it should also streamline the sales process and speed up their, or just increase their efficiency.
Right. Well, and not only efficiency, but helps keep their promises to stay true. So that way the relationship isn't strained with the customer, and also then the relationship between the salesperson and production floor is also not strained based off of a overpromise or a misconfiguration.
Awesome. Yeah. So everybody's on the same page.
I think one other thing I'd like to add in on top of that, as it relates to what Billy alluded to with a setup fee or some of these other things that translate back down to the shop floor and the actual manufacturing process. So this also helps keep those costs in check, because they know for particular products, there might have to be extended period of time to set that up or to reconfigure the machines on the shop floor to run that particular size or dimension. So being able to bake that in also helps ensure a more accurate costing so that the company is not losing out or reducing their margins for any of these custom products.
Awesome. Yeah, so a very smart system. So guys, how much of this is out of the box and how much of it did we kind of have to configure and develop solutions for to be able to fit this manufacturer's needs?
Everything here is using what came with CPQ. There's no custom code or logic that we had to put in place in order for these to work. We used everything that is based from CPQ and used everything based from CPQ, and we were able to do all this functionality through what was in the package.
Awesome. Office dog chiming in a little bit there. So basically it's just knowing how to really work the system and configure it to meet a manufacturer's needs. And so that's what Mountain Point, does in this situation, right? Like taking the product that they've bought and making sure that the customer gets the most out of it and that it's aligned to their particular processes.
Exactly. And a lot of times it may not even just be having a custom product. It might be having a pre-configured product and being able to adjust it after selecting it, or having something to say, I want a pre-configured product, or I need to start from scratch, and then having the products filter from there. So there's a lot of different ways that you can approach the process, and whatever, best fits your business needs will definitely pinpoint that and show you how that functions within CPQ.
Great. Any other follow-up thoughts on this solution or this problem that manufacturers face before we sign off for today, guys?
So one other thing that I will say within CPQ is, and this is especially for this company, is that they use groups a lot. And what I mean by that is you can group products into these chunks or groups, in other words. And so what they use it for is, if they want to make a recommendation to a customer, they can clone a group. So let's say this is the request and this is the recommendation. They can go in and change. So instead of the 4mm, they're going to recommend the 4mm plus, even though it might cost more. And then they can mark that as optional so it doesn't impact the overall quote total. But they can present that to the customer saying, this is what you're looking for. This is what we recommend based off what you're using it for. And then have those both appear when they send that quote to their customer. And so that's another way to increase sales or have a alternative option for the customers to spark some conversations.
Yeah, and to provide a proactive solution and kind of, add value to this process. So, hey, this 4mm plus is going to hold up a lot better, but not immediately turn people off whenever they see the bottom line price because it's different than what they expected.
Right.
Great. Andrew, anything to add?
Yeah, the last thing that I would add is that manufacturers that we work with all have similar challenges in that they are trying to figure out how to grow and scale their business and organization. And so when you talk about needing to bring on the next generation of talent and fill some of these roles that are going to be retiring or moving out of the organization, this is another example of how you can take tribal knowledge or things that your best sales rep has potentially created his own 3-ring binder on his knowledge or an Excel sheet around his 20 years of experience, and knowing that in this particular example that you really need 4mm plus for the application that you're specifying because the durability will hold up much longer. So being able to take that knowledge base that typically isn't documented somewhere and extract that out creates more of an onboarding and training so that you can grow and scale new reps and new sales folks inside and out to be able to take that tribal knowledge and put it into a system and put those bounds and parameters around it so they can step in and be more effective in their job out of the gate.
Yeah, awesome. It's like having an extra brain, taking your best salesman and everything that they know and putting it all in one database so everybody can share. It's wonderful. All right. Well, guys, thank you. I think that covers our questions for today. And if you have a question in the future, those of you who are watching, we'd love to talk it through. So hit us up on Twitter or LinkedIn or via email, and we will absolutely add it to our list of things to address in future videos. Thank you, guys, and happy Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.